The first time I heard the warning, I was sitting in the back of my grandmother's cramped kitchen, where the air always smells faintly of rosemary and burnt toast. She was muttering over a steaming cup of tea, her gnarled hands trembling as she traced patterns in the air with her spoon. "The midnight bus," she whispered, her voice like the crackle of dead leaves. "Whatever you do, don't get on, no matter how cold it is, no matter how empty the street feels. You hear me, Clara?" I nodded back then, dismissing her warning as one of her strange superstitions. My grandmother had always been a little odd. She spoke of omens and bird songs, carried a pouch of salt wherever she went, and warned me about the strange places no one else seemed to see. I humored her at the time, never once believing I'd be stupid enough to ignore her advice. That was before last night. It was raining, an icy drizzle that seeped through my coat and into my hair. I'd stayed too late at work again, trying to finish up a proposal, and by the time I finally made it to the bus stop, the streets were deserted. My breath fogged in front of me as I checked my phone. The next bus wasn't due for another 30 minutes. That's when I saw it. Far down the street, headlights appeared, two faint yellow orbs cutting through the darkness. The bus was moving slowly, as if it were testing the air. It wasn't supposed to be there. I checked the timetable again, confused. This route didn't have a midnight service, but there it was, coming closer. The rain picked up and I shivered, staring at the approaching bus. It looked old, the paint peeling, the windows cloudy, as if frost had etched patterns into the glass. But the cold was biting now, and the thought of standing in it for another half hour was suddenly unbearable. The bus screeched to a stop in front of me, the doors hissing open. Warm air spilled out for a moment, and I hesitated. "If you see the midnight bus, whatever you do..." My grandmother's voice echoed in my mind, but the rain was relentless, and the shelter offered no real cover. I stepped forward, telling myself it was just a bus, a weird, unscheduled bus, but a bus, nothing more. The driver didn't look at me as I climbed on. He, or it, was shrouded in shadows, his face obscured by the brim of a hat. He didn't ask for my fare, didn't even glance my way. He just nodded at the seat, his skeletal hand resting on the wheel. I walked towards the back of the bus, shivering despite the warmth. That's when I noticed the passengers. They weren't normal. At first glance, they looked like ordinary folks, commuters slumped in their seats, staring blankly ahead. But as the bus rushed forward, I realized something was wrong. The man closest to me had a neck that twisted at an unnatural angle, as though it had been broken. His head lolled to one side, his lifeless eyes fixed on the window. The woman across the aisle held a bundle in her arms, humming softly. I thought it was a baby, till I saw the first glint of bone poking through the rags. I tried not to look at them, tried to focus on the rain-streaked windows, but the air was heavy, thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. As the bus moved on, time seemed to warp. At first, I thought it was just my mind playing tricks on me. But then I noticed the rain outside had stopped. The cityscape blurred, the familiar streets replaced with unfamiliar ones. The buildings seemed older, their windows dark and empty. A fog rolled in, swallowing everything outside. Then there were the stops. Each time the bus halted, the doors would creak open, and something would get on. Sometimes it was a person, or what I thought was a person, dripping wet or covered in soot. Other times, it was a creature that slithered or crawled, its form indistinct in the dim light. No one spoke. The woman with the bundle rocked back and forth, her humming growing louder. The man with the broken neck twitched. The first time I tried to get off, the bus driver stopped me. I'd stood up, gripping the pole for balance as the bus slowed at another strange, fog-shrouded stop. The door opened, revealing an endless expanse of black water, stretching as far as I could see. A figure stood at the edge, its outline blurred. I stepped forward, ready to leave, but the bus driver's voice cut through the silence. "Not your stop." It was the first thing he'd said. His voice was low and guttural, as if it had been dragged through gravel. I froze, my heart hammering in my chest. "What do you mean?" I stammered. He turned his head, just enough for me to glimpse his face, or what was left of it. Empty eye sockets stared back at me, his mouth twisted into something that might have been a smile. "Sit down," he rasped. By the time I managed to get off the bus, it was 3 days later. I didn't realize it at first. The sun was just starting to rise, casting the streets in golden light. It looked normal, too normal, like a picture-perfect version of my city. But when I checked my phone, I saw the date. 3 days had passed. My hands were trembling as I stumbled down the street, trying to make sense of what had happened. The image of the passengers, the driver, the strange stops, they all blurred together in my mind. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still watching me, that I hadn't truly escaped. And then I heard it, the faint rumble of an engine, the screech of brakes. The midnight bus was coming back. You're still here. Thanks for stopping by. Dr. Plague here. Always a pleasure to see all my new and old viewers coming by for another one of my spooky tales. If you'd like to support the show, you can always take part in one of our channel offers through Fume or Aura, or you can just click on another video when they come up. I'd really appreciate it. For our newer viewers, we also have lots of playlists and other things if you'd like to get caught up. I know some of my series have been going on for quite a while. If you'd like to get my latest book, there's a link down below that'll take you to my Amazon page. Towesey Homestead just came out, so if that's something you'd like to get your hands on, go ahead and have a look down there. If you'd like a signed copy, you can go ahead and email me from my email address on the site, and I'll get with you about shipping information and ship you a signed copy. If you'd like to support the channel in a more monetary fashion, we also have membership through YouTube, and we've got a Patreon that you can get the information for in the description. We have lots of tiers and everything to suit your needs. Patrons that support on the $10 tier, that's our Ghostly Reader tier, get a book anytime I write one, signed and on their doorstep. As you may have noticed, there's a list of patrons and members on the screen, and I'd like to personally thank every one of them for taking a hand in the future of this channel. Well, that's enough for tonight. Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.